Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one rated sportsbook app out there. Be sure to use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account with them. I'm your host, Rudo, joined by AJ Hafley. Talk a little bit, not about the Avs, but the first team eliminated from the playoffs. Because for them, life goes on. And they have a lot of work to do, potentially, if they don't want to get swept again next year, I suppose.
Yeah, you could, going back to the old division format, I think they have a lot of work to do if they just want to get back to the postseason.
Yeah, true. Look, they were the team that definitively finished in fourth in the Western Division this year.
Yeah.
It wasn't particularly close to the top three teams.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit before about how, assuming divisions go back to what they are normally, you're talking about, yes, Vegas drops out of the division, but you still have Colorado, you still have Minnesota. You gain a team like Winnipeg into the division.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily get any easier to make the playoffs.
Yeah. St. Louis finished with 63 points this year. They finished behind Nashville and Winnipeg. Nashville was 64, Winnipeg was 63, but had a major tiebreaker advantage over St. Louis.
Yep. So work to be done, no doubt, for them in one way or another.
And also keep in mind, Dallas finished with 60 and had about the unluckiest season of any team in recent NHL history.
Yeah, the Central is always the Thunderdome. It is known.
So they start off in that melee, and let's also be real here. There's probably a good chance that Minnesota slides back into that group.
Yep.
Without knowing what they do this offseason.
For sure.
I have a hard time thinking that they would keep up in a significantly
tougher division.
That a much tougher division where they don't have the cakewalks of California.
Arizona is joining the division, but excellent choice there, by the way, Brendan. The Big Moose shirt.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. Yeah, really, they're all good, to be fair.
Yeah, but we talked about this yesterday, right? There are no bad ones.
Yeah.
New shirt probably maybe coming soon.
Yep. There could be a new shirt on the horizon. Keep your eyes peeled for that as well.
I forgot to respond to that this morning.
It's okay.
Remind me to get back to Eric after the show.
There you go. Will do. But let's jump in. Let's take a look at the St. Louis Blues, where their roster stands. Let's do the easy part first. We're starting in goal. They're locked into Jordan Binnington, full stop. His 6x6 starts next year.
Yep.
And it's ride or die, basically, at this point with him.
Yeah. He was not their number one problem in the series.
No.
I wrote last night that he was probably their best player in the series, but that's not saying a lot. He finished with
pretty low bar. Yeah.
He finished with an 899 save percentage. And it was he was okay, right? There were some great saves along the way, but it wasn't like he got beat by 20 phenomenal shots.
There were some softies in there for sure.
There were some in there where, it was just okay from him.
Yeah. You don't have a problem with Jordan Binnington as an NHL goaltender, potentially even a starting NHL goaltender.
Yeah.
You look at his stats and you look at the 6x6 and you go, is there value there? And I'm not so sure.
Especially, he's lost his last 9 playoff games. And he's been, last year, 5 games, he had an 851 save percentage. This year, 4 games, and he had an 899 save percentage.
I appreciate the super chat, James, but No. Avs didn't need no Arenado trade to get that sweep done.
Yeah, they look. Austin Gomber looks fun, and that's all I have to say about it.
Nothing more to add to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, luckily, this podcast doesn't have to talk about that trade. So,
Yeah, luckily, thank God.
yeah, Binnington, it is what it is.
Yeah, he's
I-
gonna be their guy. He's their writer. You don't sign a 6x6 and then move on from it.
Yep.
Within the first,
Certainly not in
couple
year
of
1,
years.
2, or 3, probably. But
yeah, well, he actually has full no trade clause protection the first 3 years.
Yep.
And then the last 3 years, it's still pretty beefy. It's modified, but it's an 18 team list. And it gets every year, that number goes down. It goes from 18 to 14 to 10.
If his stats keep looking like they do this year,
yeah,
who's going to want to trade for him anyway, unless they retain, I suppose. But
it's really easy to imagine him ending up in Edmonton in a few years.
I think the bigger question right now for St. Louis in goal is what do they do about their backup? Because Ville Husso was not particularly good this year. Yes, he was decent record of 9-6-1, but his underlyings are quite bad.
Finished with a shutout.
Yeah, 1 shutout. Very, very neat. He also had a save percentage of .893.
Yeah, his goals against average of over 3 in 17 games. It's not great.
It is not.
Yeah, Grubauer dunking on Binnington on Instagram today was humorous.
Beautiful thing.
It was funny. Hold me back, bro.
Round 1 memories.
Yeah.
In any case. Yeah.
So, like, their goaltending, look, they're going to have to find an answer.
As with half the league every year, they'll be on the backup goaltender carousel in the offseason.
And Ville Husso signed next year as well, so they might just run that back.
You think? Here's the beautiful picture of Grubauer on Instagram.
Who's that Kamenev 99 guy?
Interesting. I don't know who Steve Naleski is either, to be fair. But he's an ESPN guy. Good for him. No, that doesn't say ESPN. That says ESE. All right. It's hard to read. Anyway. They do still have Husso next year. They could just ride it, even though the numbers weren't particularly great.
Yeah. They should definitely invest in a third guy.
Yeah.
John Gillies, Joel Hofer, and Evan Fitzpatrick are not it.
No. And Gilly's a UFA, too. Probably the closest of the ones to a guy's being a third goaltender.
Yeah.
So, certainly some question marks on the second and third goaltenders in St. Louis, but that's not that huge of a deal.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to have the same conversation in Colorado about a third goaltender. So,
yep.
Again.
And again. And again. And again.
Yeah. I will add the Blues are set to have right around 15 million in cap space. So a little bit of room to do some stuff, but when we get to the forward group, you'll see why that 15 million is not.
We're gonna have some conversations about a few players.
Yeah.
Before we do jump in, I'll save the defense for segment 2 here. Craig Berube has been St. Louis's head coach since 2018. Joined them halfway through the year to win the Stanley Cup, and has since led them to 2 first round losses. Any warmth there on the seat, or
no? I would say not yet, because you can always look back. Look, the round robin that they lost all of the games in last year, and then their first round sweep last year in the play-in. Like,
yeah,
it's a thing, right? And then this year they get swept by the Avs. Like, sorry, but the Avs are pretty good this year.
Yep. Did run
So-
into a decent team.
Yeah, and they were, as we talked about yesterday, they were a compromised version of themselves in this series. You can't really hold Craig Berube responsible for that, I don't think.
Yeah.
I would definitely say he gets next year. And look, if they
Tank it out again.
if they don't make the postseason next year, if they sneak in as an 8 seed and they're not competitive in the first round again, I think then you have to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Especially because this is a management group that goes hard every year. Like
Certainly not shy.
Blues,
Yeah.
the St. Louis Blues are in everything every year. If there's a big player that's out there, they're involved. You know, their stubbornness with Alex Pietrangelo last year was stupid and self-defeating, and it forced them to turn to Torrey Krug, who, by the way,
Yeah.
that first year, yikes.
I mean, that's part of the live and die of if you're in everything, sometimes you get Torrey Krug.
And Justin Falk, right? Justin Falk had a nice
Bounce back type of year, honestly. Yeah.
he had like a solid season.
Yep.
But you're still talking about like they don't
Certainly not replacing Pietrangelo.
yeah. And Colton Parayko had so many injuries this year that
Yeah.
he never really got going in the chance to like step up and be the man. So all of this to say, like, just we'll see as of right now. If they're going to improve their defense, it's got to come via the trade market. There's not a lot out there in UFA.
There rarely is these days. We'll talk about the defense a little bit more in a second. Jacob, we've not talked about the Oilers, but I don't know that there's much to say. They blew the 4-1 lead, but
their depth hasn't been great. And Mike Smith
is still Mike Smith, it turns out.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Smith, that game-tying goal last night is a joke.
Yep.
That's one where you could see the players on the ice were like, bro, we've given you 4 goals. You've got to give us some help here.
Yep. All right.
And that overtime goal was just sweet.
I mean, yep. Nick Ehlers off the face-off, baby.
Both Nick Ehlers goals were great goals last night. And the Wheeler goal, I didn't have an issue with either. I thought that was a good goal. Need some help. Like, you gotta somebody's got to clear out a rebound, play some defense, get a body on a guy. Edmonton, Winnipeg just had dudes just skating around freely.
Kind of, sort of.
They look, I don't know. Edmonton just looks so weak. Connor McDavid scores 3 points, and everybody wants to hone in on a mistake that he makes, and it's like
there's 17 other skaters on that hockey team. Yeah,
there's no winning for that guy at that point.
Yeah. All right. We can take our first period break there, as we are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. You can get it down at the DNVR bar, as well as the Breck Brew Seltzers now available at the bar. So come on down, get some there, or check out a local liquor store near you. If you find it, pick it up while you still can. The seltzers especially go extremely quickly, so jump on it. Also brought to you by Green Mountain Dental Group, the best family dentist here in the Denver metro area, just 15 minutes from downtown over in Lakewood. We've had dozens of people switch, and they've all said it's one of the best dental experiences they've ever had. So join Green Mountain Dental Group, get yourself a cleaning, x-ray, and exam, and you'll get yourself a free Sonicare toothbrush just for taking care of your teeth. And while you're at it, you'll probably save a little bit of money with them. So consider signing up for a DNVR membership. You not only get the amazing content that we all bring you, but you also get access to the DNVR lounge. You get big beers at the bar. You get yourself a shirt and a mask. It's great deals all the way around. Obviously, we're just talking about how dope our shirts are, so there's that. Come be part of the fam. Come enjoy it. Highly recommend, if you haven't made it to the bar yet, to come on down. The playoff games were hopping, for sure. down at the bar. So you can probably tell by my voice that it's a good time at the bar of late. So yeah. AJ just nods into the camera.
All the brooms that we had here yesterday were amazing.
There were quite a few brooms. I was surprised how many actually showed up. So that was dope. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's get into this Blues defense. There's not a ton that's going to change. They're locked into Falk. They're locked into Krug. They are locked into Scandella. Next year will be the last year of Parayko's deal, which is a little bit interesting. He's a UFA after that. But again, as they kind of kick this can down the road, Vince Dunn will have to get a new contract in this coming off season.
I think he's gone. I just think they wanted to trade him at the start of the year. He didn't have a very good season. I think that that's a fresh start situation there, and that they couldn't find a taker at the beginning of the year. You remember, nobody had any money at the start of the regular season.
Yep.
Like it was like 20 teams were within $2 million of the cap limit, and
half the teams ended up needing to use LTIR space to even get across the finish line. So
yep. So when we get into the offseason, I think we're going to see a lot more flexibility, obviously, expired contracts and stuff. And I just think Vince Dunn will be a move that they make. I have no idea what it looks like. I don't know that that's a. I don't know if that's a pick deal or.
Right. Whatever it is coming back the other way.
But. Like a change of scenery guy for a change of scenery guy. Is there another defenseman out there that could just use a change of scenery? You know? How many years are left on Keith Yandel's contract?
Probably too many.
And at that, at that price point, probably not going to be great either.
Yeah, there's 2 more years at 6.3 for Yandel.
I just,
Yeah. Totally.
That would be exactly the kind of thing that the Blues would do.
Yep. Swap for someone else's.
Yeah.
And let's try something new type of guy. Yeah.
When you look into free agency, assuming that Tyson Barrie and Dougie Hamilton stay where they are.
Sure.
The guy that really jumps out to me on this list is Jamie Alexiak. Does that not feel like the Blues?
That's a very Blues guy. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly the kind of guy that they go for. Ian Cole's also going to be a free agent. Patrick Nemeth. I think all of these like physical defensive defenseman
mucky, slow, grindy hockey style. Yeah.
And in the case of, I guess Alexiak went to the Cup Finals last year, so they can all three of those guys will be able to boast some kind of playoff experience.
Yeah.
Nemeth's what it will be, whatever this run becomes for the Avs.
Yep.
Obviously Cole with multiple cups and all that. Dmitry Kulikov, Eric Goodbranson, like these are all dudes that feel like they would make some level of sense in St. Louis. Adam Larson's a free agent.
Does he make it to free agency? Yeah, he probably does, I suppose.
Edmonton has to make some choices.
Yeah.
So that's, of course, this is why it's hard to look at a free agency list and be like, well, how's this going to go? Because the season will end, and before we get to free agency,
chaos will happen, no doubt.
75% of these guys will re-sign where they are, and you're just looking at just a wasteland of a list.
Yep.
So, even if Barrie leaves Edmonton, that's not what St. Louis needs to fix their problems.
That would be
the exact opposite.
Yeah, if you're running Falk, Barrie, and Krug, that's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and load up with a Krug and Barrie pairing.
Oh my God.
It's the Mighty Mighty Munchkins.
That puck better only go one way. or you're in trouble with that
I
pairing.
feel like it is only going to go one way.
Or the wrong way.
It's just not going to be what they think it is.
Yeah. So,
No, I'm Alec Martinez too. I didn't mention him.
yeah.
Vegas is going to have a really hard time bringing him back. So I think Alec Martinez.
Vegas is going to have to make some decisions.
I think there's a good chance Alec Martinez is the belle of the ball on the defensive free agent market this year.
All right. It's just, is that not an explanation of how blah the defensive free agent market is going to be? Nothing against Alec Martinez, but
still a good player, but he's 33. So.
Exactly.
And I really do. Jamie Alexiak is a guy. I don't think. Look, if just as an aside here, if Ryan Graves goes to Seattle on expansion or something,
there's a hole to be filled there.
Just saying, I would be curious. I know the Avalanche looked into it at the deadline, and that Alexiak is a guy that, if he got to the open market,
there would be talks.
It would be an interesting guy. You'd really bring a different element. Just as a big mean dude. That's actually big and mean. Like Patrick Nemeth is like he can play physically and all that, but it's like
he doesn't really have that rub to his game. Yeah.
Like, nobody's afraid of Patrick Nemeth.
Yep.
Jamie Alexiak will like kill a man.
Just so we're clear. So I think part of the problem looking at St. Louis is that I don't love their prospect depth coming through.
It's bad, dude.
Like they have Pernovich, and I guess Jake Neighbors, whatever you want to make of him.
Yeah, but Scott Perunovich is definitely going to be part of their defense next season, assuming that he's healthy.
Sure, but you're looking at it and you're going, how high end really is this talent that they have coming?
Kadri does not have an NMC.
No, he does not. And I just look. I know I love Nikita Alexandrov, but that dude's not exactly close to making the NHL just yet.
Well, and if that's a top 5 prospect, that says everything about your system.
Yep, exactly. So, when you're a team that, let's face it, over the last couple of years has moved in the wrong direction as far as making playoff runs, it's not like they have all the cap space in the world, as we'll get to in the forward conversation, and they're not going to get a lot of help internally. You start to run into a problem of how do you fill all the holes that you're going to end up with. And I mean, look, teams find ways to do it every single year, but money-wise, it's a lot tougher to do that through free agency and the trade market than it is internally. So, Klim Kostin is kind of bad.
Yeah, he's low-key not very good.
Just
the Blues had a chance to put him to play him in this series.
Yep, and they chose not to.
Yeah, they said no, thank you. So yeah, that tells you how they feel about him. An AHL playoff update: the Eagles made it. They lost immediately. They lost 5-1 to San Jose, and then it was over.
Yep.
Sampo Rantic got the only goal.
He sure did.
That was fun.
And that was that. Eagles have made the playoffs in every year of their existence, though. So that's cool.
This should have been last year's team. I actually think would have been really good.
Yep.
In that postseason. This year's team.
It was always destined to be weird because of the taxi squad.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hard to judge because they lost so many guys throughout the year. But anyway, sticking back to our topic of the day.
Indeed. I'm just looking through St. Louis's reserve list, and there's just the prospect pool is just not.
It's bad.
Yeah,
they had Dominic Bach, and they traded him for Justin Falk.
Yep.
Not that Dominic Bach is tearing anything up,
but Their pick capital, they're okay there. They don't have their second rounder or fourth rounder this year, but other than that, they're fine, especially with this year's draft, which is very, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of when you talk about a team that feels like they are in their cup window and they just kind of keep going for it.
Yep.
And then it starts the land of diminishing returns. This is exactly what it looks like. This is that team. It's the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, honestly.
Yeah, and I think part of their problem here, just it's tough to pass too much judgment because Falk and Bortuzzo are kind of a big part of their defense. In my opinion, the Blues' best prospect is Perunovich.
I think the only guy who gives them any run would be Neighbors. And honestly,
yeah,
I mean, Neighbors is a very specific type of prospect.
Well, and Neighbors was a very, very Blues
pick to the system pick for sure. Yeah.
When they drafted him, we were all like, "Oh God."
Yep. St. Louis Blues gonna be annoying, grindy.
This dude's gonna come in and he's gonna be good Lawson Krause.
Yep.
This is gonna be frustrating. So I really like Neighbors. He was a guy that I was interested in for the Avs last year, just to bring a totally different element as a forward prospect.
Question
but definitely
the ceiling there for sure.
Would not have been a good identity pick at all, but it would have been we're trying to be more well-rounded. But anyway, yeah, I like Neighbors, but he's not a guy that I think is an impact player for them next year.
Yeah, no,
I'd give him one more year.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, the prospect pool's just thin. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, it's just not. They don't have the guys. They don't have any plug and play. They don't have any high end. I think they still have too much veteran talent on hand for them to consider the old tear it down and start over. But
yep,
they have positioned themselves very nicely to be in the Calgary zone
for the next here
for a few years now.
We will get into that conversation after we take our second period break, as we are brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 rated sportsbook app out there. They have amazing odds boosts every single day, but right now they are still giving you an opportunity to turn $5 into $200. That's 40-1 odds on any basketball game. All you have to do is pick any team that is still in the hunt for the championship, and if that team wins, you'll receive $200 in free credits. So pick a team that's not eliminated, bet $5 on them, and if that team wins, you can cash $200 in credits. Jump on it over at DraftKings Sportsbook today. Get the 40-1 odds. Of course, if basketball's not your thing, you can always bet on hockey, basketball, baseball, football, college sports, other sports, UFC, sailing, you name it. You can get it at DraftKings Sportsbook. They're super easy to use, and they're super safe and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience over with them. Obviously, beyond the normal odds boosts, they can just give you some great deals at times. Keep your eyes peeled. When you see Andrei Burakovsky at 1.5 shots, you take it. That was a popular bet the other day in the St. Louis series. You know, sometimes bets are easy, or you can be like Hank and YOLO bet 5-1 scores and win $200. Also,
Ryan told him to bet that 5-1 score.
Yeah,
Ryan YOLO.
Yeah,
it,
but Hank is the one who actually bet it. So
that's true. That's true.
Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the DNVR promo code to let them know we sent you over there and get that $5 to $200 deal. You can bet on that basketball team of your choice, again, to win, to get that one. Use promo code DNVR for a limited time only. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only, new customers only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. also brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee, the CBD-infused coffee that has really changed lives. You can get that down at the DNVR Bar Cold Brew if you're heading down there, or you can get it online and get 25% off when you use code DNVR25 on your first purchase. Check them out if you haven't yet. They've been with us for a very long time, and they make awesome stuff. Last but certainly not least, also brought to you by Solace Meds, who are giving you amazing deals all the time right now. You can go online and get 20% off when you use code DNVR20 at checkout. You can order online and then head on down to the local store and pick it up. Super quick and easy to use. There's 4 different locations, one up in Fort Collins, two here in Denver, I believe, one of them in Wheat Ridge, and one a little bit down south as well. There also happen to be 2 in Oklahoma, if that's your vibe. Beyond that, on holidays coming up, you get buy one, get one 3 deals on Memorial Day. So check that out. 20% off select products in the store as well. So they just have a ton of deals. I can't explain them all to you. There's too many. So go check it out. See them in person and find a deal that is right for you. Solacemeds.com, SOLACE meds.com if you want to purchase online before you go down there. Get yourself a great deal. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I have no idea what the odds for Mickelson winning the PGA were, but I imagine you got pretty good money on those.
Yeah, he won. I think he said it was a plus 1,500.
That is pretty darn good there.
I think that's what he said.
So
I know he won a couple $100 on it.
There you go. If you got the vibe, you can cash in big time. No doubt about that. Blues forwards. They are locked in to Vladimir Tarasenko, Ryan O'Reilly, and Braden Shet. Pretty much, I guess Perron has one more year as well. Everything after that is pretty much fair game.
Yeah, so the really the big contracts here, the UFAs.
Yep.
Hoffman, Bozak, Schwartz.
Yep.
Now, Hoffman was a disaster there.
Yeah,
he was a power play only. He played on the 4th line.
Ultra specialist that just didn't work out, really.
And he's going to have a really hard time, I think, finding the job.
I'm sure someone will give him a deal, but it's not going to be anywhere near $4 million.
I think it's probably going to be one of those. He signs with a lower tier team, gets put on their top power play unit, and tries to pump up his numbers, and they try and move him at the deadline to a team that's like, well, we could really use this guy. I think that's where it makes the most sense for his market to go. Him signing with a team, a contender that wants to sign that guy, I think is
making a mistake.
There are just other options in the free agent market at forward that I would look at first.
Yep,
because it's not a great class. Look, the best players in this class, the highest scoring players in this class are Landeskog, Krejci, Ovechkin, and then Hoffman, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Taylor Hall, Zach Hyman, Blake Coleman.
And how many of those dudes even actually make it?
Yeah, and I think that there's a good chance that those top 3 guys, Landeskog, Krejci, and Ovechkin, stay where they are.
Yep. Yeah,
and I think RNH, good chance he stays. Taylor Hall has made
that he wants
no secret about his desire to stay there.
Yep.
And then after that, you start to get into, Tomas Tatar, Phil Deneau, Brandon Saad, Mikhail Granlund.
Quality players, but certainly
it's a decent class. You're going to get some middle 6 forward guys that will be in this class.
Yep. Yeah.
So the big question that they really have to answer, because I think let Hoffman go and let Bozak go. I think that's
agreed. Right? You don't have to think too hard about those ones.
It's Jaden Schwartz. He was a big part. He's been a Blue forever. He's their first round pick in 2010. Like has been part of the whole solution there, right?
Yep.
He's always been injured. He's played 80 games exactly once. He's only broken 70 games a couple of times in his career. The guy's constantly hurt. And this year, 4 games in the playoff series. Did you notice that he played?
Nope.
Were you even aware he was in the series?
Might as well not have mattered.
There were 2 times when he had the puck when I was like, oh shit, that's Jaden Schwartz.
And then nothing happened.
Nothing. I mean, could just be a bad series, right? But 21 points in 40 games for everybody that's dying to move on from Nazem Kadri.
Schwartz is worse.
Like, the Avs should leave Kadri exposed in the expansion draft. First of all, he'd get taken.
Yeah, without a doubt, that dude would get slam dunked by Seattle.
And then you need a second line center. But we'll use him. I'm going to use Kadri kind of as a reference point here.
Sure.
Also can look at a couple of these other guys. You look at Jonas Donskoy, 31 points this year.
Yep.
So
I do think it's tough for St. Louis to get rid of him, though. Like we said about Hoffman, he's a specialist. The dude's in a weird spot. Doesn't make a ton of sense. With Bozak, he's 35. Would be a weird bring back for St. Louis.
Yeah, so like Bozak, I could see as brought up here in the chat, like Bozak coming back on like a $2 million deal.
Sure, if he's willing to take that big of a pay cut.
I think the big thing that they need to do is they need to just swap Bozak and Robert Thomas in the lineup. Put Robert Thomas in your top 6 and Bozak is your true 3C here.
That would be better.
But this is also where, like, hey, if they don't want to do that, this is where Phil Deneau would make a lot of sense. Phil Deneau has not made a secret about the fact that he does not want to be a 3C.
Yep.
He wants to be a 2C. Which is why I'm still kind of ignoring the Colorado, like, the Avs should sign him and make him a 3C. Like,
it'd be cool, but
he ends up in the exact situation that he was in Montreal where he wasn't happy.
Yeah.
So I think that Deneau, if they wanted to give him the 2C job, look, again, I think just giving Robert Thomas that job would be smart and seeing what he can do. But at the same time, like, Robert Thomas, they keep waiting for him. He had 3 assists in the series against the Avs, 12 points in 33 games. Again, injured. Hasn't really like broken out yet the way that they were hoping.
Is that not like their entire lineup, though?
Like
the list of Sammy Blais and Zach Sanford and Ivan Barbashev, all a bunch of dudes that never really quite got there.
Sure, but like those guys turned into,
they're NHLers, sure, but
yeah, they turned into like a fine 4th line. With Thomas though, like he has a 40-point season. Like that's a guy that I think is just he's also an RFA. So his contract, he's going to get a raise of some kind.
I mean, Sanford and Barbashev are RFAs too, but yeah.
Yeah, well, and those guys are like, that's like
mini raises, sure.
That's like that guy gets $1.5 million, 1.7
instead of 1.4
like,
or whatever. Yeah,
like those are not too big a deal.
Yep.
But Kyrou, they need to move up in their lineup. And I think this is where they have this opportunity, right? They can move on from these guys. They can move on from Schwartz and Bozak and Hoffman and kind of give the kids, some of these younger guys, more opportunity if they want. But they still have to fill out that lineup.
I think
they aren't better if they just lose Bozak and Schwartz and they don't bring anybody in.
And right, that's kind of where I'm at with it too. Is I would lean more towards giving Schwartz that kind of deal where maybe he takes a little bit less money and you can possibly drop him down your lineup, because Schwartz is only 28. Yes, he's had the injury trouble. I get it. But is there not a little bit more faith there in a player in, depending on how you feel about it, you can call it the end of their prime, or, a decade ago, people consider it the middle of your prime at age 28, as opposed to Tyler Bozak will be 36 next year.
Yeah.
So,
and again, like Bozak would be like a 1-year deal. The guy comes back and
yeah, for sure. Either guy, Bozak or Schwartz, you're not doing anything long term, I don't think.
Yeah, Schwartz is the guy that should really take
some 2-year kind of
maybe a
paid
1 or
again.
2-year deal
Yeah.
where he gets to rebuild his value in a bigger role, get healthy, and
Yep.
because he's not going to get the big multi-year offer that you would have expected 2 years ago when he had 20 points in their playoff run. And it was like, oh, this guy's a beast. This is a very good top 6 player.
Yep.
He really needs to rebuild that value. So whatever his deal is, that it ends up like, I think it makes the most sense for him to go back to St. Louis. To answer, is Braden Shen more center or not? It really depends on the day.
Yeah,
we've seen the Blues struggle with that exact question for his entire tenure. Like, it was pretty telling when they went out and they were like, okay, we need to go get Ryan O'Reilly and we need to go get Tyler Bozak so we can have some center depth.
Personally, I certainly like him more on the wing, but
yeah, me too.
Can a dude play center? Yes.
And has
yeah.
So,
Super Chat.
That guy's not going anywhere.
No, that dude is locked into St. Louis for eternity.
Yeah.
Super Chat here from John. Thank you very much. Did you notice how the Blues unloaded on Rantanen in game 1? They literally teed off on him, and he took every shot, including Shen's.
Yeah, they tried to set a big tone in game 1, and Landy beating up Braden Shen.
Yeah, was the end of that.
And if there's one element that hasn't gotten talked about very much about the series, the Blues tried to bully Colorado.
Yeah, and the Avs got none of it.
They got physical, they got feisty, they hit high, they hit late. The Avs responded by just doing the same thing.
Yep.
They were like, all right, well, if that's the game that we're going to play, if that's the series that we're going to get into, the Dallas series last year taught them well.
Yeah, they went toe-to-toe with them, and it didn't phase the Avs one bit through the entire series. They took care of business on that front.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Avs didn't back down from any of the physicality. They also, for the vast majority of it, were very smart about not taking the extra penalty. They let the Blues do what they were going to do at the right times and said, check the scoreboard, bro.
Yeah, I think the only time yesterday when they evened up those penalties, and it didn't make any sense when Soderberg went into the box, and it was like,
yeah, with the total phantom call, honestly, on both guys, there was hardly any penalty there.
It was like, okay, I guess you could call roughing on whoever it was that hit Soderberg, but Soderberg didn't do anything. He just stood there.
Yep. Very strange.
It was, and they were like, you guys are both going, and it was like,
what?
This is the weirdest game management call ever. No, anyway, I do think it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They have some raises to give out. Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas are going to be in line for decent raises, but I think both guys are bridge candidates. Those are not long-term deals.
Yeah. Spot on.
And then, they've got like a bunch of these other guys that like these fringe guys and whatever.
Yeah,
these aren't meaningful.
They'll fill out their lineup with the free agency, and those guys can fill in depth spots or whatever. But
the expansion draft.
Yep.
I went and I did their list real quick. And I think, funny enough, we talked about it, but Vince Dunn looks like the likeliest guy to get picked out of that group.
Yeah, I mean, you're protecting Falk, Krug, and Parayko.
Yep.
I guess Scandella could be interesting.
Yeah, just not ahead of those other guys.
Yeah.
And then the forwards.
You're not getting anything quality out of them on the forward
Yeah,
side.
I protected O'Reilly, Tarasenko, Shen, Perron, Sundqvist, Thomas, and Kyrou.
Yeah, so
Sundqvist is the one where it was like you could choose to protect whichever of those guys, but
right. One of the depth guys is available. They really want a Sammy Blais or something.
Yeah, exactly. If they want to protect Sammy Blais or Ivan Barbashev, great. It doesn't change much. Vince Dunn is still the guy that sticks out as he would be the most intriguing.
Yep.
To take. So it'd be pretty funny if they
not hard to drop Perunovic in there if they take Dunn also.
Yeah, it literally fills the exact same role.
Yep.
So expansion, they aren't set to lose an impact player.
Yep. Just about sums it up, I think, for St. Louis.
Oh man, we're gonna have to figure out a way to answer this stuff with Kadri once and for all. We've done it. We did an entire Nazem Kadri show, which we answered that question.
Yeah.
But we've been asked multiple times today. No. I'm protecting Nazem Kadri.
Protected. Full stop.
It's going to be the new protect that guy. Look, I would think that the only way that they would reconsider it is if they are without him the entire Vegas series and they have no issues.
They win in 5 without Kadri or something.
Yeah, and they're completely fine. And it's like, oh, maybe this isn't super important.
Even then, there's still no way he's not one of their 7 best forwards.
Yeah, I'm.
Anyway,
you and I agree on this, but there are a lot of people twisting themselves into knots to try and get rid of Nazem Kadri, and I'm still completely fine just running it back.
Yep, same.
And then you work Newhook slowly into your lineup and let him take Kadri's job throughout next season.
Yeah, I don't. You're not getting any value by leaving Kadri exposed. There's no magic beans that you get to protect that are going to give you more than what Kadri's going to give you. But
yeah, definitely. I'm not. My hope is that Kadri wins his appeal. He comes back sometime during the likely
Game
Vegas
2
series
or 3 or something, yeah,
and plays to the level that we know that he can.
Yep, that would be very nice. Certainly, the Avs focus right now very different than the Blues at the moment as they look forward. We'll see. The series could end tonight between Vegas and Minnesota, depending on what Minnesota can do. The schedule will be what it will be. If it does end tonight, expectations are Game 1 will be Thursday.
They just announced Thursday's schedule.
Yeah,
and they left open
the late night slot.
Yep.
Which Colorado and Vegas is going to take the late night slot.
Yep. We should prepare ourselves for that one right now.
Unless Minnesota pulls out a win here, that's probably your starting point.
Did you see the Josh Archibald clipping? He got suspended.
I did for the one game. Yeah. I did.
Did you see the actual penalty? Do you have a thought on it?
I have not seen it. I can look it up really quick, though.
So he basically just low bridges Logan Stanley.
Oh, I saw that, I saw a glancing view of it. I haven't actually seen a good angle, but
it reminded me who was Andrei Mironov.
Yeah, who would only ever low bridge dudes.
Yeah. It reminded me of him. And I genuinely don't know what the problem is here. It looks like a clear clipping to me.
Yeah. I'm
watching called right a penalty, now. And I think a suspension is probably a little much for that, but I also don't have an issue with it. It's a really dangerous play.
Yeah. They should be suspending everything under the sun if they gave Kadri 8 games. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
if there's any hope of consistency there, which I know they've already handed out a couple of not so consistent looks, but
yeah, no idea what the appeal process timeline looks like. That's going to be very cloak and dagger.
Yep, that'll be news when it's news, basically.
Yeah. Don't know how long that one will take. I imagine several days.
Yep, would be surprised if there's news about that before the next series for the Avs begins.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no Josh Archibald tonight. The Oilers are in trouble.
Can Archibald play goaltender?
It's really interesting to me that they're starting Mike Smith tonight after that game last night.
I mean,
it's really like I understand that the other option is Mikko Koskinen.
Yeah,
I understand the position that they're in, but I'm still surprised that that's the decision that they have apparently made.
Well, do any of your decisions really matter at this point when you're already down 3-0?
Yeah, I'm still, I don't know. McDavid and Draisaitl are just so capable of
the
doing
series
something
ain't over
crazy.
till it's over, for sure.
Yeah. That's a position. I don't know. The Hellebuck versus, I don't know. I've consistently underrated this Jets team because their defense sucks and they just keep getting by. It hasn't been any good in this series, and they're up 3-0 against
They gave up
the best player in the world.
They gave up 4 goals in 2 periods to Edmonton, and it just didn't matter.
Yeah,
It's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I just don't. It hasn't made sense to me. I don't know, man. But it's interesting to watch, and Winnipeg into the next round. And look, just if things get there, if Winnipeg advances, and then Winnipeg comes out of the North, if Colorado comes out, they will play Winnipeg because of the top seed thing.
Yep.
Colorado Winnipeg is my nightmare on a personal level. From a hockey level, I'm not worried about it.
I don't think you're worried about anyone from the North if you're Colorado, to be honest.
I'm worried about Toronto. Though
I'm not.
Less so, depending on what happens with JT. That's
Definitely a
really
big loss for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's like the strength of their team.
Yep.
So I'm not worried about Boston. I think Boston and Colorado would match up really well.
Boston has always kind of taken a beat down from Colorado historically too. But
I did not say his name. I said his initials.
It's true. I think he said his name once on this podcast since. I think he said it once. But
yeah,
after he said it, the next 3 shows, he made sure to call him traitor. So
yeah, that's right. Gotta get back on brand.
In any case, we could talk about future Avs matchups down the line here, as we do have a couple more days before the Avs play another hockey game.
Yeah, we're going to have a couple of days. Obviously, when we know what the series will be, we'll be doing a series preview.
Of course.
But out of curiosity, is there anything in particular that people would like for us to dive into?
Yeah.
If you say the expansion draft, I will have Ali paying you.
Yeah, but what about Martin Kaut?
What about him?
Is he expansion draft eligible?
You can refer to my Twitter
Twitter profile will answer that. It's true. Look, the playoffs are one round at a time, right? It's too hard to think about anything past what we assume will be Vegas in round 2.
Yeah. Focus is really there.
Yep. In a world where the Avs move on from Kadri, I don't think they do. Is our 2C already in the org, or who is your wish list 2C to go for? I mean, long term, yeah, Alex Newhook's right there. In the immediate, we'll see.
Yeah. There's so many other things going on.
Yep.
There's so many variables to that question. You know, I mean, if a team comes calling in the offseason and says, hey, we want Nazem Kadri and we'll give you, I don't know, something that Colorado values.
It's actually worth, yeah.
Yeah. You can't move Kadri under the guise of like, oh, we'll just go sign Phil Deneau then, because you have to get that guy to say yes first.
Yep.
Because if you move Kadri and then Phil Deneau signs in St. Louis or something, then great. Now you're worse.
College free agents, I'm sure the Avs will be involved, but it's always difficult for teams like Colorado to get them just because of lack of opportunity.
Yeah. Remember when they were bad and they were starting to sign a bunch of college free agents?
Because they could give them playing time in the NHL. Now, not so easy to do that for Colorado.
Yeah. Although it feels like Chicago
found a way to do it for years. Yeah.
It feels like Chicago and Toronto just constantly win these like free agent battles for these guys. I don't see any high-end free agents this year. There aren't any guys that really like this was a conversation 2 months ago when that stuff ended. So
yep. I know it's too soon, but what your dream Stanley Cup run? What teams would you want the Avs to beat? The one where they win the cup.
Yeah, I don't care.
Doesn't matter who they play. Yeah.
Yeah, it really Pittsburgh would be fun. Tampa Bay would be fun. Who cares though?
Do you think the league will try to do something about LTIR abuse? I doubt it.
No. Why would they?
The GMs in the league are happy with how it is now.
Yeah, so both sides are benefiting from this.
Yep.
The GMs have a way to manipulate the system when it's convenient for them, and the players make their money. You have two happy sides with something. The only people who are unhappy are the people who have no power, and that's the fans. So I don't see why they would look to do that at all. I do wonder if what we saw at the deadline, they start to close some of the loophole of sending a player to a team specifically to retain, and then that team sending him somewhere else.
Team just to save cap. Yeah. Vegas reaped plenty of rewards off of that.
Yeah, I wonder if they try and do something about that as that becomes more of a prevalent strategy. But really, I don't see that there's an incentive to do any of that. The Tampa Bay thing this year is really just like a perfect storm of events.
Yeah.
Of timelines and everything that they
not just timelines, but it happened to the team that was already so ridiculously up against the cap.
Yeah.
To one of their most valuable cap-wise players.
Yeah, and keep in mind, the league could have made Tampa Bay worse. They put Tyler Johnson on waivers.
Yep.
Every single team said no, thank you. So, in a lot of ways, these teams only have themselves to blame for letting Tampa Bay build the way that they did. I'm just not. I'm annoyed by how it's gone, but it's also the perfect storm for them. That's not something that a team is ever going to be able to get away with again on purpose. Just delay this because we're going to have a shortened season, and your recovery timeline lines up perfectly with the start of the come on, this is a one time thing that's happening with those guys.
I mean, they might have finagled the timeline a little bit, but
yeah, but in a regular year, they're not going to.
Yeah,
are they in a regular season? Kucherov has surgery. He comes back.
He comes back, yeah.
Yeah, he comes back with 20 games left, or he gets healthy with 20 games left.
Yeah.
And if they choose to sit him for 20 games, That's like okay, but there would be a grievance that Kucherov would be able to get going in that case. Oh man, did I call that? Off day today, optional tomorrow, and real practice the next day.
How did you know?
And they just sent us the schedule, and guess what tomorrow is? Optional.
Expect the Avs to be quiet this offseason. That is a podcast for said offseason.
Yeah.
Does the Kadri hit hurt his value? No, not really.
It in some ways, sure. There might be a team or two out there that just says we can't take that chance.
I really think that you were kind of already in that boat before the hit.
Maybe a team or two
pushes them over the edge. Yeah,
it won't be a significant number of teams who are like, oh, we don't need a second line center for however million is left on his contract.
4.3 or something.
Yeah, it's in the fours somewhere.
You guys think Ovi would go back to Russia before he plays for another team?
Yes.
I don't think it matters. I think it's a moot point anyway. He'll have
4.5. Jeez.
He can play in Washington for as long as he wants to play in Washington. They'll just keep signing him.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah. Why would anyone be mad that the best players are playing in the playoffs? Yeah, I mean, the GMs are fine with it. The league is fine with it. Yeah, it is what it is. How many more years will the cap be flat? Nobody knows. Whenever the NHL decides that they have made enough money to the cap goes up.
Whenever the NHL makes up for all the lost money of the last couple of years, basically.
Yep.
As soon as they go to, it's like from my understanding, they're viewing it like a credit card payment. Like they have to pay off these last couple of years. So as soon as that gets done, then the cap is allowed to go back up again. And there's a good chance it goes up by quite a bit.
Yeah. All right. I think we are about done for the day. So thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, however you consume the podcast. AJ, any final thoughts? Oh, yeah, like and subscribe on the YouTube as well. I know we're getting a lot of new viewers recently. So if you hit that subscribe button, it helps us out a ton. All right. Final thoughts? Nope.
Curious. There are going to be some teams in the offseason is going to be fun this year. I think it's going to be a really active offseason. A lot of teams were really hamstrung last offseason. That kind of created a stagnation league wide. And I think that
an expansion team always mixes up the market a little bit too.
The expansion team, a really unpredictable draft, I think is going to create a really interesting draft day market as well.
Yep.
And a lot of teams that are trying to shed money and trying to do different things. It's going to be. I'm very curious to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Hopefully, we're not doing pods about the off season for the Avs too soon, but.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's still. I'm hoping we're still a few months away. Honestly.
Yep.
So we can have these. Kadri fights
in the 1 week of time that is left after the finals.
I am curious to see how quickly this dies down. If he comes back
and just pops a goal right away.
Well. Yeah. If he comes back and plays well, how fast this will go away because. All of this, exposed Kadri stuff it's pure hostage of the moment stuff.
Yep, very much. In any case, we do have to wrap it up. So thank you again. We will be back tomorrow with a show on some things. If you really have
some things is a good way to put it because we really don't know what to talk about until we have a series preview going on.
If you feel like you have a great idea for a show in the immediate, you can always DM us. And we will appreciate it, even if we don't decide to go with that show necessarily. Yeah. But until then, enjoy the Vegas-Minnesota game tonight. I know I'll be watching it. We will see you tomorrow.